So, hi, everybody. I'm Gervier Dinza. It's a beautiful Thursday as we kind of get this day going, giving you a live look outside. It is warm, but not as warm as it's going to get. I can tell you that. Our First Alert team of meteorologists has been talking about excessive heat, which is going to arrive tomorrow and the day after, and so just be aware of that. We'll be certainly following that for the next couple of days. Of course, you know the PGA Tour Championship is taking place over at East Lake, so if you're planning on going there, certainly stay hydrated. It's going to be a gorgeous day for that tournament for sure. Just want to let you guys know that we are watching some big stories here for you for today as we head into tomorrow, Friday. That, of course, is the deadline at noon tomorrow for all of the 19 defendants who have been charged in the indictments, including former President Donald Trump, that were filed by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. All of those people are expected to turn themselves in by noon tomorrow. Several of them have already done so, and we're going to talk more about that in just a second. As a matter of fact, let's get to that story for you right away. I can tell you that with just about 28 hours left until the deadline, and 9 of the 19 people facing charges connected to that 2020 presidential election case here in Georgia have turned themselves in. That includes Scott Hall, John Eastman, David Schaefer, Kathy Latham, Jenna Ellis, Ray Smith, Sidney Powell, Kenneth Cheeseborough, and Rudy Giuliani. And of course, Donald Trump, the former president of the United States. We do expect him to surrender next. Our Rebecca Schramm has been on top of this story for us from the very beginning, and she has the latest on what we can expect from Mr. Trump today.
We expect the Secret Service will be heavily involved with security in and around this jail today. You can also expect that news media outlets from across the country will be watching Mr. Trump's every move as he boards his plane and begins to make his way here to the Fulton County Jail. This is the first time in history that a U.S. president or former president will have his fingerprints collected and mugshots taken in a jail. Of course, he'll be free to go until the trial starts, but he'll be barred from communicating, intimidating, or threatening any co-defendants, witnesses, or victims in the case, either directly or indirectly, and that includes on social media. Political expert and attorney Josh Schiffer explains what the judge could do if Trump doesn't uphold his end of the bond agreement.
If you can't be trusted and agree to do that, the court will ensure your participation in the process by keeping you in custody.
Last night, Mr. Trump was featured in a pre-taped interview with Tucker Carlson on X, the social media site formerly known as Twitter. And here's what he said about his indictment in the Fulton County case.
The people see it's a fraud. The people see it, like this horrible district attorney from just a little while ago, from essentially Atlanta, that's Fulton County. She said, basically, I don't have any right to challenge an election. Well, what about Stacey Abrams? What about Hillary Clinton? What about all of these Democrats that are still challenging my election?
As for a timeline of when Mr. Trump might arrive here in Atlanta, we have learned the FAA has issued a flight restriction in the area of the Fulton County Jail from 6:45 this evening until 9 o'clock tonight. It is for quote-unquote VIP movement. So we will be watching and we'll bring it all to you. At the Fulton County Jail, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
Now, let me just say, too, that a couple of attempts by 2 former Trump administration officials to get their cases actually thrown out of Georgia, those were denied by a federal judge. Former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark had tried to block Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis from arresting them. So if they don't surrender voluntarily by that noon deadline this Friday, tomorrow, they were hoping to claim immunity, among other things, in a bid to get the charges against them dismissed. Again, a judge denied that. There's an update now to a heartbreaking story that we have been following for a little over a week now. It was a search for that little boy, that 2-year-old Josiah Mitchell. His father initially reported that he had been kidnapped. We reported that. Turns out that was false. The father was arrested by police. They say that the little boy had, in fact, not been kidnapped, but he has been missing. Now it's been more than a week, and authorities did find a body. They haven't positively identified it, but at this point, they do believe it is that little boy. The boy's father, by the way, is considered a person of interest in this case. Here's the latest from Madeline Montgomery.
Even investigators are emotional about this discovery. Police still have to get DNA confirmation, but they are fairly confident this is the body of Josiah Mitchell. And they were searching for a long time. They searched apartment complexes, drained a pond, eventually found what they believed to be the toddler's body at a trash transfer facility. Josiah Mitchell had been missing for over a week. Initially, his father, Artavius North, reported that he'd been kidnapped during an armed robbery. The police quickly determined that was not true, and North was arrested the next day for making false statements and filing a false report. East Point Police Chief Sean Buchanan says that North is now the primary suspect in the toddler's death.
I want to make it clear, we're looking at the father as a suspect, and we want to charge him with the highest charges possible to make sure he never gets out of jail.
It's just a 2-year-old can't really defend himself, and it's unfortunate that this happened to him.
Mitchell's family was here when the police made that announcement, and of course they are devastated by this news. They were not ready to speak with us. Reporting in East Point, I'm Madeline Montgomery, Atlanta News First.
Again, that's certainly not what everybody was hoping for. It was really hard. I have to say it was hard for us to report that when that little boy was missing. And, you know, as a parent, you absolutely hoped that that little guy was going to be found alive. Not what we wanted to report, but we'll certainly follow up on that if, in fact, the father is charged in this case for being involved in his son's disappearance and eventual death. Okay, here's one for everybody that has a child in school. If you love books, if you love reading, you know there's been a lot of discussion about the type of books that are in our school system, specifically in our elementary schools, okay? So there's a story developing this morning from the state's second largest school district, and we're talking Cobb County, okay? So educators with Cobb County are removing 2 books from the library. They call these books highly inappropriate and sexually explicit. They say that these books have this sort of content in them. So let me tell you what these books are. They are Flamer and Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. They can no longer be found in Cobb County on library shelves. Flamer is a graphic novel. It's about a little boy who discovers that he's gay. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl is about 2 high school boys who befriend a girl who's dying of cancer. And that novel contains some pretty serious discussions about sex. It also has some profanity in it. Both of those books were among the most challenged in 2022. Here's what the implications could be for Cobb County teachers.
What are they going to do to the individuals whose media centers these books may have been in? Is this truly just investigatory to see what the process is of how media specialists add to their collection at their schools? Or are they going to go after these individuals and their jobs?
Now, do you remember this woman, Katie Rinderly? She was just fired a week or so ago for reading a book that was considered controversial to her students. It was a book that discussed gender norms and self-acceptance. Parents claimed that her actions went against state law, and they say that educators cannot teach divisive concepts. There was a tribunal that recommended she actually keep her job, but the Cobb County School Board decided again that Katie Rinderly should, in fact, lose her job. She says that she's going to keep her teaching license, and she says that she wants to be back in the classroom, but not in Cobb County. Okay, so it's going to be nearly 100 degrees tomorrow and the day after, but guess what? One of your favorites is back at Starbucks. You know what I'm talking about. I don't even have to tell you, right? It's their pumpkin spice latte is back on shelves, so you can start getting that probably in the next day or so if you guys are ready for fall. I hope you make it a great day. We, of course, here at Atlanta News First are going to be staying on top of what happens in the Trump indictment case. Mr. Trump is expected to turn himself in later on today. There's actually a kind of a no-fly zone around the Fulton County Jail between 6:45 and 9 o'clock tonight. So the expectation is that he may be arriving sometime in that time frame. Rudy Giuliani, as you know, his personal lawyer, turned himself in yesterday. He arrived at PDK and then made his way over to the Fulton County Jail to be fingerprinted and then also have his mugshot taken. Pretty strange turn of events for a guy who was one of the toughest federal prosecutors in this country in his day. And Mr. Trump tonight is expected to face that same treatment. He will become the first former president to be fingerprinted and to have his mugshot taken. We are told that Fulton County authorities say he'll be treated just like everybody else. We're going to be on top of it for you throughout the day. Make it a good one.